Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Another thing I wanted to show, the GoPro I've been using. Like I said, it's going on 3 years old. I've lost the charging door to it somewhere here in the shop. I'm sure it'll turn up, but she has seen better days, but she's a trooper. She still works. If you got it zoomed all the way out and have the lens cleaned, it still videos halfway decent, but you can see it has a big bust on the back of it. I don't even know how that happened. It happened in my pocket somehow, but we'll go ahead and get on with the video today of what we're going to do with this XTorq saw. Anyway, to our Johnny, we got her starter cover in the wheel. You know, she looks pretty good, about what was expected. It does feel a little flimsy up here where the top bolt goes in, but it's no big deal. Not really a lot of pressure up there, but I'm sure that that's, I don't know, I wouldn't think that it's meant to be that way, but for some odd reason it seems a little thin and flimsy up there. Who knows? I think it'll be just fine though, and it did have the 3 starter housing screws in it, so that's a good thing. Those things ain't the easiest things in the world to find and get a hold of. You can put, you know, different style bolts in it, but it's always good to put what's supposed to be on the saw back in it. Game plan on this, I think I'm going to go with the numbers I mentioned last night, or somewhere in that area. If I do video any of the torque work, take note, it'll be done with the GoPro. I'm not going to set this camera down and set it up and risk chips flying while we're grinding and hitting my lens. I could put a filter on the lens, I guess, and keep it from getting scratched up, but if I do video any, I'll make sure the lens is clean on the GoPro. One of you guys had mentioned that we needed to get me a new camera. I've had it sitting here, just didn't want to use it. But we are looking into getting maybe a GoPro 9 or 10. May just go ahead and sell a couple saws and go ahead and get a new 10. I do use it a lot, do carry it around in my pocket a lot. And I shoot video with my phone every now and then, but it's been raining here off and on all day. It's humid. It's just been one of them days. I've had a migraine, still have a migraine. But I was like, we'll go out here and, you know, at least maybe do the exhaust port on this thing. And I really hope the video quality is good, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut you guys off because this damn camera eats a battery. I bought an extra battery, and it lasted one trip out shooting pictures, and it died. It would not take charge back, so I guess I should have bought the name brand battery. I'd do better anyway, but what I do is cut you guys off, and I'm going to get my ring in the cylinder and get it pushed up to where I want to grind to, and we'll at least get the exhaust port done here today on this video, I guess. We may be able to do more, I don't know, but bring you back then. Alright guys, already it's just, yeah, I'd normally not use a bit like that to try to flatten out an exhaust roof. I'd normally like to use something kind of straight. That's as straight as it's going to get, and it's a little big and a little aggressive. I normally keep one of the tile cutter bits in the Dremel flex shaft, if I could even get it over here. And it is very versatile, use it a lot, but it's not in it. I have no idea where it's at. It is hard to say, probably under a bench somewhere. Then I've got a really long bit. It's kind of a tapered bit that came from CC Specialties with the kit. it's always in its case. I have no idea where that bit's at. I've looked for it. All I can figure is maybe it's fell down in behind the filing cabinet that all of my stuff is sitting on. So we're gonna have to do something with that, and we are back to videoing with the GoPro here, so I don't know, it's looking pretty clear through this monitor, but I don't know what it's gonna look like once I get it on the computer. And I'll upload this whole video in HD, I guess. Normally I don't, it's just because it takes a little longer to upload in full-blown HD. But yeah, we're gonna get started. I've been grinding on the roof of this a little bit, just trying to go slow, trying not to hit the ring that I've got in there. It is an old ring, an old OEM ring I pulled off of an old busted up piston, but you have to bear with me. I'm kind of trying to glance around this monitor and then look in the monitor to make sure we're still good. What I'm doing there is leveling or flattening, squaring off the roof of that. Because the center of that port was dang near touching my ring. It wasn't far, probably 25 thou. But then the edges of the port are probably 40-50 thousandths away from it. And I like to go flat. Alright, if I pull you out of frame, you'll just have to bear with me. This is something I've got to be able to see. This ain't the cutter I normally use. These big aggressive burrs, you're better off running them kind of slow. Alright guys, that bit is just cutting like pure shit. It's probably just me where I don't use that bit. Like I said, I've used these, and then I've got another one that I'll use, a big long tapered bit that's straight and flat to cut exhaust roofs with, and that thing's just too grabby, too aggressive, doing a horrible job. This bit here is kind of about worn out. Hopefully we can get it in there and get this mess cleaned up. That's the plan anyway. And this pedal here is kind of wide open or nothing. Okay guys, so I'm right at the ring. I've got a little bit will be to the right. I've got to go in and clean up. I always have that on every cylinder I port. There ends up being a little lump over to the right side every time. I think it's just where I'm right-handed. And I always pull from the left over, or from the middle, and then you guys get what I'm saying. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up off camera. Gonna blow the cylinder out, and we'll go back over and see where timing's at. Alright guys, we've done our rough cut on the exhaust port. I'm not gonna call this a screw up. Technically it kind of is, but I think it'll be just fine. It just means we moved our power band up a little more than I'd originally intended. I knew better than to use that big bit. I don't think I'd ever tried to use that particular bit to raise an exhaust roof. Like I mentioned, I normally have other bits that I use. Usually if I've got someone else's saw here, and usually it's just for a friend, I have taken in other saws though, but here lately it just don't interest me much. You know, I'll take them in for friends and do them, but you know, it's about it. I'll use like a diamond abrasive or something, but evidently I bumped that ring, and I did have a line drew in there, but it wasn't very good. And we overshot our exhaust timing by a couple of degrees, which that's no big deal. I don't think it's going to kill the saw. We had fairly tight squish, but that saw does have a pretty good sized combustion chamber, so you know, I don't know what it's going to do. I'm not going to expect it to be a compression monster either. We're looking at 20,000 squish and some change. You know, the glue will loosen it up a little, but I've not cleaned up the bottom of the base of the cylinder. I've not cleaned up the deck of the saw, so that'll give us a little back there. I'll be really full if it's anywhere over 21 thou when we're done. Maybe 21.5 thou or something, but sitting on about, I'm going to call it 98 right now, and I've still got to go in and clean up and polish. And I didn't really widen the port, but when I finished cleaning up the roof of it, I did go ahead and knock some of the plating back on the sides of the port. I'm not going to go crazy wide with that port, because with that 98 open, and I think I'm going to have to throw a couple finger ports between the transfers and the exhaust port, which some people are going to think is completely backwards from what you normally see, but I've done it on a lot of saws and it works. We'll probably also cut some bridges to help feed the transfers themselves. Probably just went over a lot of people's head there, but once we get into that, hopefully I can get it without screwing something up and give you guys a look at it. But I was originally not intending on raising that roof that high. I set my ring at what I thought was about 102. Going to grind to that and then do my cleanup and my polish and just leave it be there, because I know it would perform really well. But now she's going to rev really, really high. We got enough carburetor. From what I'm reading and gathering online, I can do a lot with that intake port and those Stratos ports, even as far as cutting all of that mess out of the intake boot, to ensure that we're getting plenty of air and fuel charge into the bottom end of the saw. The next thing I guess I'm going to do, we're going to pull this back off, and we're going to throw a cartridge roll set up on the Fordham and start our cleanup process. After we've overshot our exhaust port, lo and behold, is just in a different drawer where I keep my cartridge roll sets, which I was going to show here. One of you fellas had asked where I get my cartridge rolls. SummitRacing.com. There should be your number to order that. I know there's people going to wonder why I'm not taking a bit and just aggressively pulling all this back and thinning it out. This will open it up somewhat and knock the lips back. When I first started, I hogged the ports out on everything, and you know, then I've done a few to where I didn't, and I kind of like the outcome better. Hogged out ports doesn't mean that it's always going to flow better. There's going to be people argue that, but you know, whatever it is, what it is, it's just, you know, it's my thought and theory on it. this is going to move the timing even just a little bit more, probably another degree once it's said and done, truth be told. Like I said, I did widen that cord a little, but I don't want to go overly super wide with it. What we're doing right now is mainly just blend work. You can take these rolls that's kind of blunt on the end like that, and believe it or not, you can actually go in and do a pretty good chamfer on the port with it, and it's, in my opinion, a lot easier than using a diamond burr or a ball. But you know, everybody has their own way of doing it. I've not had a saw hang a ring, knock on wood. This one will end up doing it in longer than I can remember. It's starting to come alive and look pretty good. I had to take you guys off camera just to look at it. That thing's starting to look real nice. You can port the whole port with these. I've said that before. If they're aggressive enough, I could let that just set and it would start trenching, believe it or not. These Summit Racing rolls, you know, they're not the best ones in the world, but they're damn sure not the worst ones either. I bought some from Harbor Freight. I've not seen them back there again, really, which I've not looked either, but they were some of the worst ones I'd ever used. Not looking too bad. That roll may be a little big to do the sides. I may have to switch to a smaller one. But yeah, when I started, I used to, up until about 2.5, 3 years ago, I would really hog things out on almost everything I done. Thinking that it was really going to move a lot more air. Then when you go to looking at intake boots and measuring the actual opening of the exhaust port, things just go to looking a little different, or seeming a little different, if that makes any sense at all. What we may do is do a comparison. I've still got that other stock cylinder. If I don't like how this runs, which once it's all said and done and I'm done with it, I think we'll be just fine anyway. But I'm most definitely going to have to put a smaller roll on to get the sides of this port. When we do that, I'll bring you guys back. I think that little guy will get in there and do just fine. That's why I like that kit. You don't have to buy a bunch of different little baggies of rolls. They can get expensive. You're probably looking at $10 for a baggie with maybe 10 in it, if you're lucky. And start at the back and work my way out. This port actually pretty slick and clean, didn't hardly have any imperfections in it at all, believe it or not. And that is widening it a little more too, believe it or not. Not looking half bad. I don't know how it's picking up on this camera, but she ain't looking too bad. I've got a pretty bright light right on it too, so it could be changing the way things look a little bit. Have no idea. And if I was trying to take the width of this to the max, I'd probably roll up, say, a piece of cardboard and put in there, or the piston itself, and make some marks, and we'd take our calipers and measure. I gotta do a little bit of work, a little bit more work to the outer edge of the roof here. This is in real time. The only thing I didn't video was that last little cleanup, and I needed to get up close and personal with it to get everything. Well guys, I'm kind of liking how that's going. I guess our next step will be we're going to get into the polish of this thing. I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to start that. Alright guys, we're ready to start polishing this thing. 220 grit, I usually start a little coarser than that, but this torque looks so nice. You could leave that port right there and leave it alone and be just fine with that. It's picking up every reflection, every little thing. Pretty good looking port, to be honest with you. I just hope we didn't kill the salt. We didn't kill the salt. It'll be just fine. We're gonna step up to just a little finer paper and I'll bring you guys back. Okay guys, I've decided we're gonna go 500 next, and then we'll step up to 1,000 and see what we got. Don't be surprised if that happens a lot. She's looking pretty slick. It's like glass filling of it right now. But I said we were going to go on to 1,000, and by God, we're going to do it. And guys, I'll tell you, with this particular mandrel, the thinner the paper gets, the more you have to fold it up, and the harder it is for it to stay on. We may go a step above this and put a little bit of Brillo on it, steel wool, whatever it is I've got over here. But I don't know, this thing's turning out really nice. I don't know if it's going to be necessary. That 1,000 will make it look real nice. Anything beyond this just to be for pure cosmetic reasons, I guess. But then again, the slicker it is, the less likely you're going to have carbon stick on it. But driller full of sandpaper. That light's not doing much. Batteries are about gone in it. She's pretty daggone shiny. I could put the Brillo on, take it a step further, but for this particular build, let's just leave well enough alone. What I'll do is I'll go over here, I guess, to the other camera and, you know, maybe see if it picks up the polish a little better than this one. Bring you guys back then. Guys, there we go. I don't know how well that's picking up. Pretty daggone shiny. Alright guys, cleaning it up, polishing it didn't really move it a whole heck of a lot. It was like a touch past 98 before. She's about dead on 98 degrees right now. You know, that's not that aggressive. There people go a lot further, but it does indicate that it's the RPM band has moved way up on it. We'll probably have lost a little bit of mid-range grunt, whatever, who cares. You know, if it was something I'm putting a 28 on with full comp chain and hard wood, I'd be worried about it, but I'm not. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to do with this. I'm going to try to throw about everything at it I know, and hopefully I don't have another overshoot or mess up, we're going to call it. Technically it ain't a mess up, but I think it'll be just fine. As always, thank you guys for watching. Y'all have to let me know how the audio is on this big camera. If it's not that great, I do have a shotgun mic here I can put on it. And the next video we may actually try the, it's called a kit lens I've got here. It's got a little further field of view. We can get up closer to the saw. Right now you're probably a good 6 feet back from it. But I'll upload this one in full HD and we'll see how it looks compared to some of the older videos. But as always, thank you guys for what you do. Welcome to all the newcomers. I hope this wasn't longer than it needed to be, but you know, hopefully it may help somebody, or hell, at least it's, you know, entertaining for somebody that already knows all this stuff anyway. But thank you guys. Everybody have a great weekend.